One of the great rivalries in all of college basketball, the Louisville Cardinals and the Kentucky Wildcats. The defending national champions, coached by John Calipari, like his counterpart today, has taken 3 teams to the Final Four, including the national title. Here's his lineup today. There are some notable changes. Goodwin Harrell will be at the point, only his 4th game to start, along with Julius Mays. Cauley-Stein will be inside, along with the 6'10 freshman sensation Nerlens Noel. Louisville cat quick in its backcourt bookends, Siva and Russ Smith. And inside, this is a team that will be able to use Jang, but they'll start Price. They don't want him to get an early foul trouble. Shane Bohannon and Blackshear are the combo forwards. For Rick Pitino, now in his 12th year at Louisville, having taken Providence, Kentucky to a national championship. The Friars, of course, in '87, his first Final Four team. And the Louisville Cardinals on a couple of occasions, including last year, when these two last met in the national semifinal. But as everyone knows, this is a completely revamped Kentucky team from a year ago. Our officials, a veteran lot: John Cowell, Ed Corbett, Doug Shows, many a Final Four and national championship officiated by everyone on this crew. They only play in this rivalry once a year, and it makes it matter ever much more.
That is an understatement. How about an 8-page special section in today's Courier Journal locking into this game?
And guys, the first 5 minutes, I think, is critical for Kentucky to try to salvage, I should say, calm the crowd a little bit.
Harrell with a floater.
He's been terrific of late, guys. Really doing a nice job playing under control and getting into the paint. And any small guard has to have that shot in his repertoire. It's got to be in your quiver if you're going to get into the paint, the little floater.
This is a much different Kentucky team, Clark, than the one you and Jim Nance saw against Baylor. And largely it's because of Harrell's presence. Inside, work done by Bohannon, and he gets it to go. We're tied at 2.
And one of the reasons the expectation's so high for this Louisville team, they're different from what he's had in the past. They're much more effective at scoring 5-on-5 in the half court. They don't just rely on turnovers.
Harrell this time rushed it just a bit off the back iron, pulled down by Blackshear. Smith. That's just inside the arc, and he'll shoot from deeper before the game is over.
He may only be 6 feet, but he's got the heart of a giant and an ultra competitor.
There's the turnover. Smith missed it. Little too much adrenaline in that dunk opportunity.
And not enough lift.
One of the things Calipari is always concerned with is the way the game is called, because Louisville will get physical with you, and a loose whistle does favor the Cardinals. There's a nice move inside by Goodwin. Count it, and a foul.
I talked about him at the top. One of the most electrifying drivers and slashers in the college game. And here he shows you that eel-like ability to slither through and around defenders and still concentrate and finish.
And with Jane coming in, that's one of the issues. That play, I don't know that it materializes if Jane's down low as opposed to Zach Price, just a little late with the reaction in terms of his ability to get over and help.
Gorgie Jang entering the game. His father, Momar Jang, and his mother, Senabu Jan, are in attendance for the very first time to see his return to form since leaving back in November with that cracked wrist. There they are, in much anticipation. Being concerned about the rivalry, the heat of the battle, Jang told the local press not to worry. They don't speak English.
But they can feel the heat and passion in this one.
Absolutely. Sometimes the silence can be deafening. Harrell brings it down for Kentucky.
And what we've seen early on from Kentucky, their ability to attack the rim for the mid-range. Not necessarily always getting all the way to the rim, but before they have to take on the shot blocker.
Goodwin off the front rim. Rebounded by Noel. Taps it back out to Harrell.
And that's one of the things Rick Pitino talked about his team's ability to control the dribble, particularly when Kentucky goes one-on-one, which happens more times than not offensively in the half court, just as we saw there. In square, Nerlens Noel doing a nice job going to the left hand.
He may not be Davis, okay, but he's got outstanding feet. He's probably as quick as any guy that size you'll see as a freshman, as you see the push and the foul spotted against Ryan Harrell. Only 80 miles separates these two. And boy, when you come in here, you better be wearing blue or red. I think they may eject you from the building. You got to make a determination. Smith off the curl, past Goodwin. The iron unkind, and a rejection by Noel as Bohannon went back up, and we've got a tie ball.
We talk a lot about Jang and his ability on the interior, but they have a deterrent also. And Nerlens Noel here, just an emphatic block there by the young fella.
He's so quick off his feet, and he has excellent defensive instincts, guys.
Bohannon right at Cauley-Stein, and he deflects it, brings it down. Wonderful defensive play by the former football player from Kansas.
Really good start here for Kentucky early. They've endured a couple of weeks of Camp Cal conditioning, multiple practices a day, all in the effort to get better and compete at a higher level. And they're showing the fruits of that labor here in the first 4 minutes.
All their points are coming in the paint, and that time Cauley-Stein came up empty. Jang makes his move. That's going to be a block. John Calipari disagrees. He'll let Doug Shows know about it.
And this is an area where Jang has really improved offensively. Rick Pitino talked about it before the game. I mean, it's a tough call. It's a 50-50 call, no doubt about it. Oftentimes, this call is determined by the positioning of that baseline official. From his angle, it looked more like a block.
Calipari quick to applaud the efforts of Cauley-Stein as he sits down.
Bringing Alex Poitras into the game. That could be a huge injection of offense for the Wildcats.
Siva with a fall away Jay inside the lane. His first bucket. 7-6 Kentucky. Well, you mentioned Camp Cal. One of the things he really wants is attack. He wants them to get to the 10. All 3 of their field goals have come inside the paint. That three-pointer won't go. Rebound pulled down by Smith. Oh, ridiculous! With a nice shot selection.
How about a one-man fast break, 1-on-3 with the left hand?
How about the speed?
My goodness.
I think that's a shot that Pitino's okay with, don't you?
Most definitely.
Over 4.5 minutes gone by, and we have seen the outstanding backcourt stars on display. Siva says, I can do it. And Russ, his backcourt teammate, says, I'll see you, I'll raise you, and I'll lay it in. As mentioned, Kentucky faced Louisville in last year's Final Four. Anthony Davis led the way with 18 points, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks as the Wildcats advanced with a 69-61 win. Against Kansas in the championship game, Deron Lamb led all scorers with 22 as the Wildcats won their 8th title in school history. And there's where they are today. Doing just fine, thank you.
Yep, a couple of the guys are starters. Those 2 guys right there for their respective NBA teams, Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. You see they're averaging double digits. And you know, it's funny, typically each year we talk about guys being drafted, and usually you only have a handful that end up starting or averaging double digits every season.
And not to mention the fact that how many teams can lose that type of artillery and come in preseason number 3, although a bit high. That just shows you the respect that Calipari has built with this Kentucky program.
And I think if this team stays healthy and continues to work, by the time we get to March, they could be playing close to that preseason ranking level.
The lone player for Kentucky that was on that team a year ago in the Final Four is Kyle Wilcher. He has started quite a bit. Not today because of the quickness inside, and particularly with Gorgui Dieng making his way back into the lineup.
Well, early on Kentucky able to take advantage of Gorgie Dieng not starting. Ryan Harrell, a nice job off the floater, and then there's Nerlens Noel going to the left hand.
Noel, sweeping left hand jump hook that doesn't fall, and then the follow-up foul.
And you made the point earlier. I love the way Kentucky is trying to attack. I mean, Tim mentioned that as well. They're really looking to go to the rim.
And talking with Coach Cal earlier this morning at the shoot-around, he said one of the things you have to do with Louisville, you have to move their defense, and you have to have guys that can attack off the dribble. Huge advantage when Noel on that baseline has the ability to do that as well.
Cauley-Stein will come back in for Kentucky on the next dead ball. And that reach-in foul will go against Julius Mays, the transfer from Wright State. And keep your fantasy football season going with Playoff Challenge and compete throughout the postseason for a chance to win up to $1,600. Sign up now at cbssports.com/challenge. And just as we mentioned, Wiltshire coming into the game just moments ago as that pass baseline to Blackshear was a beauty by Smith.
Yeah, how about the presence by Smith? Did not have the look he wanted, but understood where his teammates were on the floor. Donna! I think you're going to need a bigger boat if you want to go in trying to attack Dieng on the interior.
He does such a good job of seeing everything. Communicates well defensively and then reacts to the driver extremely well.
Okay, which one of us has the Richard Dreyfuss part? Wiltshire from downtown. Right on cue, and that's why you love to bring him in, his perimeter shot. But he's got to be more than that to get playing time today. Timeout. We're tied at 10 in Louisville. Siva going for the lob, well defended by Cauley-Stein as he knocked it out of there. Smith. Dieng. I'd say Gorgie's been hurt from mom and dad.
That all starts with the penetration. Anytime you get that penetration, it makes the defense scramble, and that offensive board is available to be attacked.
We'll see if Wiltshire can get Dieng to come out of there somewhat with that ability to hit the three. But Louisville changes their defenses so much, makes it tough.
I was just going to make that point. What you want to do as a team, you always want to force your opponent to think.
Oh, Harrell with some nice airtime there. Little double hitch in midair.
Clark made the point earlier. His game has really progressed nicely. He is playing with more confidence and really stabilizing force on the backcourt, in the backcourt, I should say, for the Cats.
Siva trying to respond. And the rebound cleared by Goodwin. Poitras in traffic. May have forced that one a bit, but got bailed out by the foul.
You hit it right on the head. Very fortunate on that possession.
Extremely.
That's the second foul on Dieng. That was Pitino's. That was his concern coming in when we spoke to him prior to the game. One of the reasons he started Zach Price instead of Gorgie. But still his second. Already 3 lead changes, 4 ties very early on in this game as you look at Poitras, the Tennessee Mr. Basketball. Clarksville, Tennessee is home, Northeast High School. Let's get the blog on Poitras here.
Well, he's got a tremendous body, obviously, and tremendous skills. Platinum package skill level. They'd like to see him play with a little more edge, add some attitude, and don't defer. Really assert himself offensively, and I think he has a chance maybe to do that a little more coming off the bench as opposed to starting, because he becomes a little more of a focal point offensively when he comes in off the bench with another group.
Dieng does remain in the game with the 2 fouls.
I like the fact that Rick Pitino hasn't automatically decided to sit Dieng with the 2 fouls. You've got a media timeout coming up sometime here in the next, at under 12 minutes. And Dieng is a guy you expect to be able to play intelligently with the 2 fouls.
There's Wiltshire right where he wants it. This time did not get the shoulder square, and the over the back Out of bounds to Louisville.
Clark, you talked about Jang and the impact, the instant impact he had coming in. He really does a great job on the interior, and what I love about him, he lives in the paint. That's where you want to see him. He is more of a traditional back-to-the-basket type post player, both offensively and defensively.
I think Rick felt like, you know, I better hedge my bets and get Montrezl Harrell back in there. The freshman from Tarboro, North Carolina at 6'8", checks in for Gorgui Dieng. And Cauley-Stein did pick up a foul over the back, and that ball went out of bounds, his second. Blackshear rejected by Noel. Nerlens Noel with a nice block. There he is, beautiful pass, and the slam reversal.
How about the motor on Noel? I mean, this guy is a rim runner for Kentucky. You have to understand that if you're Louisville, and you have to recognize it if you're Kentucky.
That was one heck of a sequence for Noel to block the shot and then sprint the floor and get that throwdown.
That's how big fellas get those nice passes inside, right? Blackshear in traffic. Not there. Harrell fighting for it with Wiltshire. On the deck, Siva has it stolen by Harrell.
And how good has Kentucky been early on in terms of their ability to control tempo, keeping Louisville out of the open floor. Impressive here by this young Cats basketball team.
That's part of the recipe for spurt-proofing Louisville. Score the basketball, attack the rim, don't turn it over, and compete on every possession. So far, so good for the Wildcats.
Poitras off the feed from Wiltshire. He drops down the tray. Kentucky opens its largest lead of 6. This is an 8-0 run for the Cats.
And Rick Pitino looking to get Russ Smith back into the ball game, and Luke Hancock.
Siva off the bounce. Oh, the rainbow doesn't go, and it's pulled down by Poitras.
Little zone defense here now. If you're playing zone against Kentucky, you have to make sure you mark Kyle Wiltshire. And Poitras, who just sprayed a 3.
Poitras again, halfway down the cylinder and out. Montrezl Harrell to rebound. Louisville is 0 for their last 5 from the floor. Siva looks to get a better percentage and does.
How about the presence there to take the legs away from Noel? Went right at his chest, is what you have to do with the shot blocker. Didn't allow him to be an athlete on that play.
I knew you were going to celebrate all over that. I knew you loved that. As a former point guard, you know exactly how to be crafty against those shot blockers.
Well, all lefties are crafty, right?
Yep.
Harrell, this time it doesn't fall. Pulled down by Blackshear. Siva all the way, 10-10 for Louisville. The tip in by Harrell. Timeout, Calipari. Nerlens Noel. 'Tis the season to make it happen. Both in 2012 and 13, slam it home, Holiday. Lots of happiness, but Kentucky has been seeing their ranking fall as their team actually began to improve. And in some polls, they're not even in the top 25. I think they're answering the charge today.
Well, so far, a terrific start here on the road because they've competed at a high level. They've got an excellent play from Ryan Harrell at the point guard position. He's going to take a break now as Jared Colson dealing with the heat of Russ Smith.
And a reaching foul will go against Smith. 9:08 remaining, opening half here in Louisville, Kentucky. And how about this run by Kentucky? Now, Louisville has answered, but it was quite a run.
Yeah, the cylinders are all clicking right now for UK. The balance is there, the mid-range, their ability to attack in the half court. They get out in transition. Noel with a terrific finish, and then the inside-out action as Poitras knocks down the triple. Nice balance and poise being shown by this Kentucky team. They're showing you the growth that can happen over the course of a season.
John Calipari told me something today, fellas, and I wanted to get your reaction to it. He said, unlike other teams that had freshmen, there were always some veterans they could feed off of. This team really doesn't have that. So that's why he's had these incremental practices early in the day, later in the day, mostly walkthroughs to get the mental aspect of the game down for these guys.
And oftentimes you don't realize the importance of that ingredient and element until you don't have it.
Yeah.
It's extremely important to have guys that have been through it, that understand the coach's voice. When he's saying something, you've got to understand the message, not exactly how he's saying it. And you need guys that have been there that can help younger players embrace and work through that.
And not only that, not only did he have that experience, but he had the talent to go with it. Remember, Jones and Lamb were first-round picks. So it wasn't that they were just a voice. They also could get it done on the floor.
In traffic, Smith has it swatted away. Wiltshire clears it to Harrell.
Pretty nice job closing out that time by Louisville. I thought the numbers advantage was in Kentucky's favor, but ever so briefly.
It was in their favor. Harrell just didn't pull the trigger early in transition.
Goodwin looked up, and the turnover ensued. Where? Mahannon!
Relentless is what Louisville is. And now when they come with this press, they're trying to speed you up. Three things you want to do with that press. You either want to speed a team up, you want to slow it down, or you want to turn them over. Louisville, one of the few in the country that can do all three off of their track.
Wiltshire has his pocket picked by Ware, and he'll finish. Plus, the opportunity to get down the floor with the quick hitter. He picked his pocket.
He did. And Clark, I've always said this about Louisville. They're one of the few teams in the country that when they don't play well, they still play well because of how they attack, and they never play the score. They play to their level. That's what makes them so consistent.
Well said. You're exactly right. And this is one of those spurts that Kentucky wanted to avoid.
Harrell has it knocked away by Harrell. 3 straight turnovers committed by Kentucky. Oh, the pilfer. What a job tight-roping by Smith, leading to another slam dunk opportunity. End to end. Ware gets it done after starting it all here at home.
We now move ahead in the scheduled program.
Here are the teams that we're expecting more from this year, and that being said, North Carolina's answering it today against UNLV, and the Bruins last night with Shabazz Muhammad got a much-needed victory over a quality Missouri team at home at Pauley.
And of all 4 of those teams, I think UCLA is the most dangerous. I think that's a team that now that they're going to play with more pace, they showed it last night against an excellent Missouri team.
That's right.
That's the type of team you will not want to see second half of the season.
Well said. I agree with you because they have an awful lot of firepower and big guys that can step outside, a number of guys that can attack the rim off the dribble. So
Kentucky in the last 4 minutes, 0 for 3 from the floor and 3 turnovers.
bad combination and a recipe for disaster. Got to find a way to try to get this ball inside if you're Kentucky.
And that's the adjustment Louisville's made. They've done a better job with their interior defense and containing penetration, forcing Kentucky to play on the perimeter.
Harrell again with the runner that does not fall. Poitras tips it in.
I tell you, Harrell's decision-making, even there, that was the right field goal attempt. Forced the help, created that offensive rebound opportunity.
Well, he's playing with an awful lot of swag, is Ryan Harrell. He had an illness and some family issues that led him to leave the team briefly, and now he's in rhythm, and you can see the confidence just oozing out of him.
The NCAA is a place where stars are born. A chance to catch the legends of tomorrow, today. And with ESPN America's complete coverage from the regular season through to March Madness and the Final Four, you won't need to wait long for the next big thing. College basketball all season long on ESPN America.
I heard you calling from the start. A river runs through both our hearts. 1,000 shades of something new. I cannot wait to play for you. Land of dreams,
That sends Montrezl Harrell, the freshman from North Carolina, to the free throw line by way of Hargrave Military Academy. A raw talent that's played quite a bit of basketball, including the FIBA America's Championship that they got in Brazil this past summer.
Boy, I love his explosiveness and his length. Watching him in practice yesterday, he has a chance to be really a major force in the paint. I mean, he's got the wingspan of a condor. He's got the strength of a football lineman and the bounceability of a trampoline. So this guy has it all in that regard.
So basically what you're saying is he's a man.
Yeah, he's a man. He's a real man.
He is very physical.
He had been ticketed for Virginia Tech, and when Seth Greenberg was let go, he opened it back up again and wound up migrating to Louisville, and Rick Pitino very happy about that. Another outstanding forward. Boy, you think about the history of Louisville basketball and the incredible bookend power forwards they've had in their history. So many of them. Siva with the dump down. In traffic, Bohannon.
That possession, though, Bohannon ran the floor. He almost was open for the transition look, but I like the patience by Siva to get that secondary post. And how about the finish by the big fella?
Well, Rick Pitino told us Shane Bohannon has really worked on his mid-range shot, and you could see evidence of that work on that release and finish.
Good. Wiltshire, this is not where he normally operates, and he turns it over. Make him a back to the basket player, and you got a shot.
Yeah, and you saw this post. How about the move, the balance here? That's next level when you talk about his footwork, because he's able to take the hit and still elevate. That is extremely difficult from a physical standpoint. And then the rhythm to still finish with the mid-range.
A 13-2 run for Louisville. And their lead is 5. Noel intercepts that alley-oop attempt. Poitras, that's a block. He'll get to the free throw line with 4:47 left in the half.
Here it comes right at you, folks. Good push ahead. And the lane opened up for Poitras there. And Harrell just late getting to legal guarding position and picks up the foul.
And guys, it's going to be important for Kentucky. They want to run, but they don't want to play too fast. Excellent recovery there by Noel, because if it gets too helter-skelter, I don't know that at this stage, from an experience standpoint, they have the skill set to withstand the brunt of that run from Louisville.
Interesting point, but I think the more helter-skelter it is where Kentucky has to just make basketball plays, I think it may play into their strength a little bit. So we'll kind of see how it plays out, partner.
Okay.
And they'll need Julius Mays to break out of a shooting slump that he's endured the last few games. He's got an excellent stroke, but just has not been able to knock down any threes lately.
One of those graduate players that had a chance to play at the big-time level, as is Harrell, another transfer, young man from North Carolina State. Just too many guards on that team, once coached by Sidney Lowe, and he managed to find his way to Kentucky. We're tied at 25. 6th tie of the game. Doesn't fall for Ware.
And that's an example, that possession of what I'm talking about. You run. If it's not there, you then play with pace. You make sure you get a good look, because Louisville is extremely dangerous in the open floor.
Goodwin forced the issue there. Hancock comes down with it.
And he also was too much concentrating on trying to draw the foul instead of finishing the shot. You got to do both when you get that kind of advantage.
Siva. Louisville has answered. Peyton has 7. Peyton Siva with 7 points, and it's 28-25. There's another steal. Bad pass cross court. Bohannon. Little French pastry that time. Pitino wasn't happy with it, but the lead is 5. And a reach-in foul from the back will stop the game. 2:39 remaining. Peyton Siva off the bounce. Chase did chase it down. I think Pitino would have preferred just an ordinary dunk. We'll be right back. Louisville leads it by 5 with 2:39 remaining until halftime. And then coming up, Doug Gottlieb, Seth Davis will get you caught up on scores and highlights. And they'll go one-on-one in court of opinion. That's coming up on AT&T at the half. You could say that these two men have quite a bit in common. Pitino at Mass and Calipari at Clarion State. That was then, and this is now, of course. Two of the outstanding coaches in the state of Kentucky and around the country.
I tell you what, they have matured well. I will say that.
Yeah. And the once strained relationship between them, I think, has cooled considerably since John got his national championship. And the way really Rick and John handled that situation at the Final Four last year had a lot to do with it.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Handled well, and they played a competitive game, but Kentucky was just a little bit better than everybody else in the country last year.
Pitino told us before the game this is the first time in a while that he feels that his team is as talented. Now, that doesn't mean that Kentucky won't get more talented as the year presses on, but I think he feels more confident about this group and obviously the matchup with some of the exits that were made to the NBA by the Big Blue.
A tremendous luxury when you retire and return, I should say, that's your entire core from the Final Four a season ago. So huge advantage in that respect. And I think his team has handled the expectations thus far this season quite well. The only loss coming to Duke, and that was without Zhang in that game. So, and they still had an opportunity in that game to be victorious.
Well, I was around this team a couple of times last season, guys, and the chemistry is really good, and I attribute a lot of that to the leadership of Peyton Siva. Certainly this season, but last season with Swapshire and Keurig as well, this team had a really cohesive spirit about it.
Wiltshire with the armbar gets his first personal foul.
They say styles make fights, and right now the style, even though it's a one-possession game, starting to favor Louisville. And I say that in part because you look at their field goal attempts, 29 field goal attempts. They've only taken 2 3-pointers. And I thought at times last year they fell in love with the three. They played to their weakness as opposed to their strength. Not the case this season.
Very well since coming in for Gorgie Jang when he picked up that second foul. Very active on the boards and defensively. Block shot to go with it.
Good job by Mays there to get it up the floor and then get away from the sideline. Now you've got a chance to run some offense.
Noel, beautiful dime, but it's rejected by Bohannon. Smith feeding Harrell, but it's knocked away.
Julius Mays got his hands in there.
Goodwin looking to finish. That'll be a charge.
How about the recovery on this possession? That's an impressive play by Blackshear. Just understanding, never giving up on the play. We made that point earlier. That's, I think, one of the great strengths of Louisville is that they just play through everything. Right. They never allow adversity to dampen their confidence.
No, they keep coming. They just keep grinding.
Siva. That's a three.
I don't know if I've seen his shot ever look as good as it looks now throughout his career. And he is stroking it with confidence.
Or his game. Yeah. Because I think the complete package is now present with Peyton Siva as a point guard.
And a reach-in foul.
Sometimes you can do less with, I should say you can do more with less. And I think that's what Peyton Siva's game has really materialized into this season. He's learned to allow others to play. Sometimes he wanted to make every play, and you really strangle your team when you do that. I think he's becoming the type of player that Rick Pitino envisioned when he brought him in.
Poitras at the free throw line.
This last 65 seconds, huge for the road team. And Poitras, one of one, now gets a second. He needs to knock this free throw down, and Kentucky needs to stop the momentum a bit if they can. Louisville is established through pace and forcing turnovers.
You want to keep this no more than 7. You don't want this to get to double figures.
Bohannon is fouled by Noel off the alley-oop from Siva.
And Clark, this is what we call trust. You have to trust, as Peyton Siva, that Bohannon's going to be able to get there. And then you also have to give him an opportunity when he gets there. Really a good pass, even though they don't finish it, it does lead to the foul.
Judd Apatow. Noel looking to set the pick. Harrell really didn't have to wait for it, did he? He just blew by, and then a reach-in foul underneath.
How athletic is Noel? I mean, he has springs in his legs, and I tell you, he is just going to get better. You love it when they have the motor. Yeah. It all starts with the motor. I don't care about your skill set, your talent level. If that motor isn't running, you're never going to be as effective, and his motor is always in overdrive.
It's easy to turn somebody off than to try to turn them on.
The second foul on Ware. Foul difficulty is going to be an issue for both teams as this game goes on. It has been more tightly officiated than perhaps some may have anticipated. A lot of fouls inside as you look at the shot clock differential with the game clock. Right around 2 seconds.
High pick and roll. This is what Louisville likes to run with Siva. Give him a lane and let him create.
What was that Patino told us? He's learned you don't always have to make the play yourself. Loose ball, Poitras finds, Mays at the buzzer. Would have counted had it gone. It did not. A very entertaining first 20 minutes. 36-28 is our score. Along with my follically challenged Mr. Inside and Mr. Outside, Tim Brando, it's an 8-point game here at the break. And Clark, as much as we talked about the willingness to take the ball to the 10 for Kentucky, it's been the three-point shot that's kept them in it.
Yeah, they've kind of made a few timely threes, Tim and Greg. And sometimes when you're on the road, you need to be able to do that. Wiltshire came in and got a good look. Poitras was able to knock down one, and I thought Ryan Harrell really played a solid floor game, and he sprayed a three there. And they're going to need more of that in the second half.
They are, and folks, there's a reason why there's 3 seconds in the paint, because ultimately that's where games get decided, and they've had a decided advantage, have the Cardinals in this first half, plus 10 on the interior.
All right, fellas, as we look at the Bud Light first half stats, what do you notice most here?
Well, for me, I think if you look at the little things that have to happen, Kentucky's got to shoot better for the free throw line, and their turnovers can't hurt them. They got to have more dead ball turnovers and keep Louisville out of transition.
And do a better job defending in the paint area, but some of that was because of the turnovers in transition. Louisville shot a much better percentage. Kentucky's going to have to be able to quick attack and then knock down the good open shots. I thought they left a little cheese at the foul line, clearly. Only 5 of 10. A couple of those were front ends of 1-and-1. And then they've got to knock down the open mid-range shots they get as well.
It took them 10 minutes, Louisville, to get 12 points to open the game, but they had 24 in the last 10 minutes of the first half. Cauley-Stein back in the game as we open the half. He got hit with a couple of quick fouls and had to leave in the first half. Harrell that time short-armed the runner, and then in frustration picked up the foul.
Poitras in the starting lineup here to start the second half for the Wildcats. He came off the bench in the first half.
And there you see Momor Jang and mother Senabu Jan. First time ever to see Gorgie Jang play. And as they're finding out about the emotion, even if they can't speak the language. No doubt about it. Smith running the curl so quick, but it is rejected by Cauley-Stein off the back end. Again, in traffic, Jang finds Bohannon and a foul inside.
And one of the areas for Kentucky, you have to understand, you have the two shot blockers. One weak side has to control that defensive backboard. When you go for that block, you got to make sure you can maintain presence on that weak side and get that defensive backboard.
That is the third foul on Archie Goodwin. And we mentioned foul difficulty could become a factor in the second half. Already, not quite a minute gone by. And we see, here's the block on Shane Bohannon.
Well, he's a runner. He's really improved his ability with his first step. And I think he's starting, Clark, attempt to figure it out offensively. He gives them balance because of his ability to score both inside with his back to the basket and on the perimeter with that quick first step.
And I love the way he attacks the offensive glass. Gets about 3 offensive boards a game. And he's relentless in pursuing the pumpkin on misses.
The sophomore from Cincinnati leads the way with a dozen for Louisville. It's a really big transition here for Kentucky. They need a positive offensive sequence here because you don't want to get down double digits and then let Pitino force his defensive ploys the rest of the way.
And you know what? We talked about this earlier. And I think Rick Pitino, John Calipari just got hit with a technical.
Yeah.
And I think in part he's doing that because he sees right now that his team is reeling. They are on their heels. They are not real confident in what they're trying to do. And we talked about this earlier, Clark. The difference with Kentucky, when Louisville doesn't see the ball go in the basket, it doesn't affect how they play. It does for Kentucky. They become far more tentative and really not as aggressive to attack on both ends.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Greg, because they have become a little tentative. And you're right, and with a young team, and you made the point in the first half, in this type of environment, it's important to have positive plays. And when you're not making shots and the other team is running out on mistakes, then it becomes very difficult for you to stay the course and continue the grind. And that's what Kentucky's going to have to do now.
Calipari just told John Cal, if you want to throw me out, throw me out. He was more upset with Shows. The conversation is going Calipari's way with John Cal. He's the, as they say, good cop, dealing with a very anxious Kentucky head coach. And off the bounce, a 3-second violation.
Hey guys, remember we talked about at the top, both teams had the same question, but in different contexts. Is Kentucky good enough? And by that I mean this game, not whether they win it, but how they perform in it will determine that. Can they compete when they get hit? Because they're being hit right now. Let's see how they respond.
Yeah, it's borderline haymaker-like here in the last 6 minutes of game time.
Smith. And the long rebound taken down by Poitras. Oh, and a double dribble.
Indecisiveness. Poitras has the ability to take it himself there. Was undecided as to whether he wanted to keep the dribble or pass it and ended up turning it over.
And that goes back to, again, right now, as talented as Kentucky is, they don't play on instincts. They think a little too much on the floor. There's just not a certain level of chemistry and trust that comes with experience. Louisville has it in spades. Kentucky right now searching for it.
Nice pick by Jang, setting up Siva, but he airmailed it. Out of bounds to Kentucky. Now the Wildcats have gone 10 possessions going back to the end of the first half and the opening moments here in the second without converting. And I dare say they need one, and they need one now. Here comes the pressure in the backcourt. And the pilfer. Smith. John Calipari contemplated a timeout, but he's not going to use it. Three turnovers in their last 3 trips. Make that 4.
And a lot of lazy, soft passes.
Well, and that happens when you're not confident. They're just not certain where the ball should go. They're out of position. They're out of rhythm right now. They need to exhale or this thing could get ugly.
Siva splitting the double team. Lost it out of bounds. Good help that time by Noel coming over. Out of bounds to Kentucky. Kevin Ware looking to come into the game for Louisville. He'll give Smith a break. Goodwin now bringing the ball down the floor. You begin to wonder if Harrell is taking the kind of control that you'd want from your point guard against this pressure.
No, he's not.
Yep. I mean, I think it's that lack of leadership at this stage that really is the problem.
Clark, you've been there and I've been there. When you're on the floor, you can look in a guy's eyes and tell if the confidence is there, if the decisiveness is there, and it's lacking right now.
Very much so.
And he's got to get it.
Yeah, these guys are going to have to man up and grow up out here and be aggressive and attack. And even if you make a mistake, make it an error of commission versus omission. And there you go. Cauley-Stein rocks the rim.
That's one way to get it done. His first bucket of the afternoon. Mahanon dumps it down to Jang. How about that pass?
How about the hands? Because that was not an easy catch, especially when you're wearing a cast. Beautiful finish, too, but you're right. Excellent find there.
Goodwin again, taking it right to the rack. There's Cauley-Stein. He's playing tough.
They're bigs. Again, the motor, the activity, the energy is there. They just got to get some help from that backcourt.
Fletcher. The Louisville combos are getting it done in spades.
The bookends. What a nice forward combination they have. That's why this is one of the teams I think has a terrific chance to win it all.
I don't think there's any question about that. Nice drive by Harrell. But when you consider how much better Louisville is offensively with the emergence of Blackshear as a shooter, the confidence he's gaining, and what Shane Bohannon is able to do inside, they've got all of the elements. And Peyton Siva has improved his perimeter shot.
And you're right about him. Again, him doing less allows them as a team to do more. And how about he's doing a little bit on his own? Whoa, that penetration.
How about that? He has an and one coming, but Cauley-Stein didn't answer when Kentucky really needed it, like a locomotive. But the answer, dropping dimes, 2 bits, 4 bits. How about 6 bits on the dollar? Back in October, Northwestern Mutual held an online auction of 300 pieces of the floor from Kentucky's 2012 national title game to raise funds for children's hospitals in both Lexington and Louisville. Coach Cal signed the pieces, which raised more than $200,000 for the fight against pediatric cancer. And you see what's been done by the last 4 national champions. And it's not easy to back it up. It's not easy.
Well, and then keep in mind, all those teams, in essence, lost their entire core moving forward. No different, obviously, for Kentucky this season.
In college basketball, more times than not, it's only the same in name.
Yeah.
When you talk about championship teams.
But while all the conversation about one and done is out there, Clark, I'll say this. You can change all the names you want on the back of the jersey. This is a front jersey sport. And the game remains great no matter who's playing it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this is something that Louisville has done really well. But you're right. When you're talking about the game itself, it's about the institution. And right now, the Cardinals making it really hard for the Wildcats.
That vulture 3 would not go. And Bohannon bringing it down, gives it up to Siva. Oh, what a game Bohannon's had on both ends of the floor. Smith looking for a little wraparound help, but Bohannon just simply had gone too far inside, and they turned it over.
We talked about at the top, the bookends, that forward duo of Bohannon and Blackshear, and they have been money in this game, both doing it offensively and defensively for the Cardinals. And I said it before, we know how good Siva and Smith are. They're really good when those two are there, but when the bookends perform, that's when I think Louisville has a chance to become great.
Takes them to another level, championship level.
I think Louisville got a lot out of that game they had to play against Memphis. They were down by 16, came back to win that game, and they drew a great deal of confidence from that performance. Here's another steal and a deuce.
Nobody's better at purloining the pumpkin than Russ Smith. One of the nation's best.
Cauley-Stein leaves it for Wilcher on the wing. Boy, they really needed that one to fall.
And you have to be able to do that. And by that, I mean, Louisville will not allow you to have your offense create your offense. You have to have the ability to make plays individually. And Kentucky has struggled since about the 5-minute point of the first half.
Harrell in traffic, up and over. Off the front iron. That one went crying, and it's pulled down by Goodwin.
Nice job by Stein, Cauley-Stein, to hold his position there.
Wilcher again. That's what he can deliver. He plays the nylon song, and Patino calls a timeout.
And how about the response by the Wildcats?
CBS Sports coverage of NCAA men's basketball will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
I am hard-pressed to think of a more conspicuous example of success than what Tom Jurich has accomplished for the University of Louisville in athletics in the last 15 years. Now ranked in the top 5 nationally, this year's Cardinal team is well poised to make another run for the Final Four.
And it's not just the Final Four as you get a look at Tom Jurich in terms of the basketball program on the men's side, the women's basketball program, it's soccer, it's football, it's across the board, and he's done a marvelous job here leading the athletic department.
Our score 51-40, and without a couple of trays from Wilcher, it'll be a 17-point cushion right now.
Well, he's made 3 on the game, 2 here in the last minute, and huge baskets because Kentucky had lost some confidence, had been deflated, and needed to get an injection of some kind from somebody, and Wilcher provided it. That's the beauty of the three-point shot. You can erase deficits rather quickly, and it gives Kentucky an opportunity now to apply some full-court pressure.
Siva gets through it without a problem. But the stress of the moment led to the turnover as Blackshear did not get to the ball, late to react.
And Rick Pitino getting all over Wayne Blackshear because he wanted Blackshear to move in tandem with where Siva was going and where that pass was sent.
Goodwin left wide open, top of the key, and he rattles it home, and it's 51-42. An 8-0 Kentucky run.
The other thing, Greg, a young team that maybe looks deflated during one segment can immediately flip the script if things start going well for them.
Smith rushed that shot just a bit. Goodwin leaves it for Wilcher, the trailer. That was too strong, but there's Harrell, and he's fouled by Gang. Nice show of sportsmanship by Gorgie, bringing Ryan Harrell to his feet.
And no matter the outcome of this game, this last 3-minute stretch has been huge for Kentucky in terms of just how they've responded to that adversity. Calipari talked about this giving him an opportunity to learn a lot about his group moving forward.
Third foul on James.
Boy, when you're trying to come from behind and you're on the road, you have to convert free throws. And Kentucky has left a little bit of cheese at that line.
There's a pick. Harrell right back. A little return to sender. What's that, the old teams that press don't always like being pressed routine.
Well, that's typically, Tim, that's typically what Smith does to the opponent.
Yep. Trying to answer off the back rim. And it'll go the other way. Foul spotted. Look at the season average versus today for these three.
Well, that's 42 per game on average. They're at 18 right now.
That last foul was on Jang, his fourth. And quickly, Rick Pitino gets Montrezl Harrell to the scorer's table. He'll come in on the next dead ball, and Jang's got to be very careful here. Not a bad idea to attack him. Smith has numbers. A blow by.
Cauley-Stein is gassed. He never made it back to half court.
He didn't. He extended himself trying to get that offensive rebound, and fatigue starting to be a factor.
And he's right here in front of us with his hands on his knees. Nothing wrong with this guy's chest.
No, there's no fatigue. He gets excited when he gets an opportunity to put the ball in the basket, as good as anybody in the end in America.
Gorgie Jang, as we mentioned, with 4 fouls, does manage to get there after the foul was committed by Russ Smith, which happened to be his third. Wiltshire doubled. Mays on the wing. Cauley-Stein had it, but lost it to Smith. Out of bounds, it belongs to Louisville. Over 8 minutes gone by in the second half. Tim Brando, Greg Anthony, Clark Kellogg. It's 53-44 Louisville with the lead. And Greg, let's get some AT&T fast analysis.
Well, I talked about the bookends, and I think these two men, Blackshear and also Bohannon, make this group special. And Shane Bohannon has done a little bit of everything today, folks. The post game, attacking in the open floor. He's thrown in a couple of steals and a block. He's been all that and a bowl of grits today for the Cardinals.
I like you dropping a little food analogy into your commentary.
I'm getting hungry.
You think back to the greatness of this rivalry through the years, and obviously when Rick Pitino came here 12 years ago, he added to the drama factor, but long before that ever occurred, when Joe B. Hall and Denny Crum were along the sidelines for both, I think the fact that they only played the one game, unless, of course, they meet in the NCAAs, it happened in a regional final for Crum and Joe B., and, of course, it happened in the Final Four for these two. It just adds so much to this rivalry. Blackshear off the bounce. Rebound by Mays.
Keep an eye on Cauley-Stein. He was really looking for oxygen, but perhaps that last timeout will get his fuel tank back up to F.
Wiltshire was ready, but Louisville really got underneath him, but beyond the arc would not allow the three-point try. A foul spotted inside by Doug Shiles.
And Clark, you talked about it earlier with Goodwin. We have not seen him in attack mode much in this game. And really, that's the inability of Kentucky to understand who they are at times as a team.
Peyton Siva got the foul, his second. Well, there's Goodwin, just as you wanted. And he was hesitating even then. Smith on a run out. Counted and a foul.
How about the recognition, though, with the quick outlet? And we've already attacked about it. Russ Smith, attack mode. He can smell baskets. The young fella is a bucket getter, ladies and gentlemen.
What was that great story Pitino was telling us? He said, look, do whatever you need, but don't go in and dunk. He said, Coach, listen, don't ask me not to dunk on a 7-footer. I mean, you can tell me a lot of things, but don't tell me I can't dunk on a 7-footer.
He's got a big-time ticker. It's indefatigable. Never gets tired, and nor does Wiltshire miss if he gets a good look most of the time.
He's keeping his team in it.
He's been the equalizer. Really, he's been the one guy that's consistently played to his strength in terms of what he brings to the table offensively.
Well, he's averaged about 14 points a game in his last 4, but Siva much improved on that pull-up jump shot, and when he can get to the paint like he does against the pick and roll, that shot is always going to be available for him.
His game is, he's as a point guard much like an official. When you're not talking about him, that means he's doing his job, and he has been on point in this game for the Cardinals.
He was also doing the do-say-do with Poitras there and picked up his third. So 3 fouls on Peyton Siva with 10.5 remaining.
And both teams have 5 team fouls. So free throw shooting could become, well, it should be part of the recipe for Kentucky to try to get back and erase this deficit completely. That's one of the ways you try to get it done, is score with the clock stopped.
Oh, that's a fourth foul on Siva. That is important. That is his fourth foul. You know, time and score, fellas. A veteran player. This is a senior. You gotta know. You gotta know not to commit the foul there.
And he took a shot too. He's limping just a little bit. May have been kneed in his knee or thigh. But if you watch Peyton Siva, he will gamble and take chances and get himself on occasion in foul trouble. You love the young man's enthusiasm, energy, all the things he brings to the court. But on occasion, he will commit careless fouls.
And it's the identity of really who the Cardinals are. They're an over-aggressive team defensively, always trying to turn you over.
Mays high arching off the window. Too strong, but Bohannon clears it. Russ Smith lost his dribble. Harrell, beautiful backdoor pass. And then a rejection on the back end, but a foul spotted. Montrezl Harrell, how about that grin from ear to ear? He loved the pass, if not the finish.
But how about Cauley-Stein? Nice pass by Bohannon, but Cauley-Stein got an awful lot of the ball, but clearly fouled with his body. But the 7-footer, it was an outstanding high school receiver on the gridiron, showing you that kind of tenacity right there.
Third foul on Cauley-Stein.
And those are the kinds of fouls you want, the aggression. You want to see more of that from Kentucky. They've shown a lot more fight here down the stretch.
Fellas, we talked about it in the first half. The game has been tightly officiated, and that hurts Louisville to some extent. They need a loose whistle. Jang and Siva each with 4, and Russ Smith with 3. That is going to have a dramatic impact on the last 9 minutes and 47 seconds.
Agreed.
And it's more of a concern, really, with Siva, because you would expect after the layoff that the timing wouldn't be there for Jang.
Wiltshire on a run out.
Smart play by Wiltshire. He knew that Bohannon was coming to try to pack that shot attempt. So he showed him the ball, sent him to the paratroopers club, and drew the foul. See, he knows he's behind the defense, but he felt Bohannon coming.
I'll tell you, Bohannon did a pretty nice job of trying to avoid the foul, but he did get him with somebody, and Noel checks in for Cauley-Stein. And Calipari has allowed Cauley-Stein a lot of the minutes that Noel would normally have in this game.
Well, he's been productive. He's had an impact. His aggressiveness has been good. His activity has been good. And he's actually been one of the guys that has played with that kind of assertiveness most of his minutes.
Nice feed from Smith to Bohannon.
How about the luxury of being able to slide the junior Russ Smith over to the point, and how good is he in the pick and roll?
He's dangerous, boy.
Harrell trying to get past Hancock and Smith, and that's the 4th foul on Smith. 3 of Louisville's big guns, each with 4. The bookend backcourt, and Gorgie Jang as well. Sometimes the intensity will get the better of you, whether you're an upperclassman or a freshman.
Well, at some point, discretion is the better part of valor. And you've got to back off the throttle, even though that's not the nature of this Cardinals team.
And you also, I wonder, Clark and Tim, does Patino now, do we not see them two in the game for the next 5 or 6 minutes? Does he go back and forth, because you can ill afford to lose both?
Noel reaching in against Smith.
Things are getting raggedy here now.
Yeah, that's the 3rd foul on Nerlens Noel.
We'll be parading back and forth to the foul line as both teams in the bonus.
I think in a lot of ways, this is working out just as Calipari wanted it. And with Wiltshire's 3s, fellas, added with the technical that he got, which I believe he wanted, then I think the answer came. And the Cardinals have had to respond to that. Kentucky is dangerously in this game at this stage. Well, Russ Smith remaining in the game with 4 fouls.
I think you got to pick your poison. If you're Pitino, it's either going to be him or Siva down the stretch.
Noel with a jump hook over Bohannon. It's down to 8. It was once 17 in this half.
Now Kentucky has to be disciplined enough to defend without fouling. And this guy is really good at drawing fouls, but can they force perimeter shots and then rebound the defensive board and do it all without fouling? And you'll start to see perhaps the pressure go the other way. The expectations of Louisville being at home, being the more seasoned team.
Mays, who's been in that shooting slump that you mentioned, but Harrell, this is where he can make a difference. Now that time he didn't get it. Cauley-Stein is there to clean it up, and how? But his willingness, Clark, to take it in there. Ryan Harrell really made that play happen.
And that's, again, the penetration creates offensive rebounding opportunities. And no better offensive rebounding duo than Cauley-Stein and Noel on the interior. The big fella bringing the fight, the energy, and the activity.
It's the new Big Blue making a run at the cards. And the man with 2 last names says thank you.
Now, if Kentucky really, the key from here on is going to be Kentucky's ability to defend without fouling. Make Louisville score the ball in the half court on shots versus free throws.
Off the curl, Blackshear. Harrell was looking for the authoritative slam putback rather than just bringing down the rebound, and it comes out to Kentucky. Goodwin. Nice.
Tough take. That's a big-time take right there because he played through contact.
Yeah, and if you're Pitino now, you got to think about getting Siva back in the game.
He's coming up.
Because the momentum has totally shifted, and the game has slowed down, and Louisville not executing in the half court the way they did earlier in this contest.
In large part because Siva is much more adept at running the show. Even though you can slide Smith over there, Siva is more capable, but shot making is certainly within his will.
That's his repertoire. The ability to get buckets in bunches.
Well, the good news for Pitino is the clock is winding down. You know, at a certain stage, it doesn't matter whether you have 4 or not. You got to get your best guys out there. Gorgie Jang is also going to check in on the next dead ball. Oh, what a nice move.
Russ Smith was looking for help that never arrived.
That's what the 4 fouls does. It put him in a position of being defensively. And without the shot blocking of Zhang on the interior, they had no answer.
Goodwin with 9 on the afternoon. Smith, he was looking for the cutter. Harrell inside, but it was knocked away by Noel. Archie can get it done with a little pirouette. 63-59. Take a look at our game summary, fellas. Ryan Harrell has made a difference in this game, and the foul difficulty has become an issue. But Louisville's points in the paint to go along with the 3-ball answer from Kentucky. Are you surprised that the veteran backcourt of Louisville allowed itself to get into this foul trouble?
Well, again, they play aggressively. They're not going to let up. And on occasion, when you play that aggressive, you're going to pick up some fouls. And that's been their history. I mean, it's happened more times than not with Siva and Smith.
And more so credit Kentucky's ability to attack the strength of Louisville in terms of their penetrators and playmakers. They've been aggressive to attack them. And they've done a great job offensively as Kentucky in this second half, shooting 57%.
And in the last 9 minutes, Greg, just 1 turnover for Kentucky as well.
Siva, Jang, and Smith all on the floor, all with 4 fouls.
Well, that was Noel almost forcing the steal there with the active hands.
Jang, weakly off the front iron. Harrell almost lost it, but saves it back to Noel.
Well, Greg, you were making a good point during the break. Julius Mays, who came in having made just 7 of his last 29 shots in the last 3 games, has continued to struggle. But I think at some point he's going to have to be able to be ready to step into a good shot and trust that he can knock it down.
Even with the 4 fouls, Louisville remains aggressive, but the loose ball leads to a bucket from Harrell. Now Smith on a run out, and he's fouled by Ryan Harrell with a reach.
He is a one-man fast break.
Let's get the blog on Russ Smith.
And the leader for this team offensively is Russ Smith. He's crafty offensively. He will get buckets, and I like to call him a klepto because he has been known to pick your pocket over 2 steals a game to lead the Cardinals.
Well, Ryan Harrell thought he might be coming out of the game, but it's Noel that leaves in favor of Wiltshire. Ryan just picked up his 4th foul.
And talking about Russ Smith, 5th in the nation in steals. And he is really good at taking the ball from the dribbling. He does that as well as anybody I've seen in the college game.
Mays with the dump down to Cauley-Stein. Now when the shot clock winds down, Harrell usually takes the shot. This time Goodwin will, and he's fouled.
Well, I tell you what, Goodwin bailed out there, because if he kicks that ball opposite, Julius Mays is wide open behind the 3-point line. He's out of our shot here, but in the left corner, he was wide open, and Goodwin attacking the rim, which you like to see, and able to get himself to the foul line.
And the Cardinals, I think, got a break, because I really thought Siva was the one that extended the contact on that play, putting Goodwin on the line. But again, the official on the baseline didn't have the angle to be able to see where the contact was created.
Another Mr. Basketball, Archie Goodwin from the state of Arkansas, Sylvan Hills and Little Rock. Gets one of the 2. A 3-point game with Siva at the point.
And how about the confidence right now?
You can see it.
Kentucky. They are on their toes. They are the aggressor defensively.
Smith, boy, he anticipated his own miss. What a smart play. He knew where the ball was going to come off the rim.
Well, you know, in golf, the hitter always knows. It's the same in basketball. The shooter always knows if it's going to be short, long, off to the left, off to the right.
That's instinctual basketball. Cauley-Stein, he's fouled on the way up.
Russ Smith goes up here, and he just felt that that was going to be off. And look at the quickness, the catwalk quickness for the offensive rebound. But how good has Harrell been in the second half? We talked about he struggled. He was wavered. He got hit a couple times. But you know what? He took the standing 8. He's recovered and really settled this team down offensively in the second half.
Bohannon got the foul, and that was important to the Louisville faithful because Jang was in the neighborhood.
John Calipari going to give Ryan Harrell a chance to get a little breather here. You got the under 4-minute timeout coming up. And so he'll get some added rest time here before he re-enters.
Well, that was a tired free throw, but we have a lane violation by Louisville.
And you also see the Kentucky Wildcats encouraging Cauley-Stein about his mechanics and how he needs to place that ball in front of his face. See if he gets a better look at it.
Well, only 41% coming into today, and that one was a good look.
It was.
There you see the free throw shooting story, and only 50% normally won't cut it against a top 5 team on the road.
Pick and roll is what we're going to see from Louisville.
Siva with a bounce pass, but Bohannon fouled by Mays as he was making his cut.
And I tell you what, Louisville fortunate there because Blackshear did not space that play correctly on the strong side. He's got to come up as Siva turns that corner to make sure his man can't be in the play. They almost did. Kentucky came up with the steal there.
That's a good pickup and catch by you, Greg, because you're right. As that dribbler is going, that wing guy needs to be lifting to take that defender out of the area. It's a small thing, but it's a large thing when you're talking about execution late in the game.
Kevin Ware checks in to give Russ Smith a brief blow before the under 4 timeout.
He doesn't need much, though.
No. And it's also it's an offense-defense substitution, too. With the 4 fouls, he does not want to take the risk of losing Smith down the stretch.
Polson's in there. Youngster that earned a scholarship after originally walking on. Noel helps Goodwin navigate. Big time play by Archie Goodwin.
Go ahead and tighten up, Archie.
I like that. Beautiful inside out, and he attacked the shot blocker.
Alceva can ring a bell or two as well, but that one's taken down by Polson. Outlet to Mays. Goodwin lost his dribble. We got a tie ball, the arrow going the other way. Louisville will have it when we come back. Russ Smith leading the way with a game-high 18. A one-man fast break. Take a look at our game reset. You see Louisville with the double bonus situation. Kentucky one away. Possession arrow to the Cats the rest of the way. We've watched these freshmen mature. And John Calipari told me today, he said at some point, I told him this week, you're going to look over. We got nothing for you. You got to go attack.
That's right.
And that's really what they've done in the second half.
They have. They've really shown the competitive spirit that John Calipari has been looking for. Now, they've got 3+ minutes left to try to bring it all the way to the finish line. But I like what they've shown in terms of grit and tenacity and persistence, even when they went down by 17 earlier in this half.
You just wonder when in a scramble situation what guard might pick up a 5th foul. Ware is rejected by Cauley-Stein.
Well, you got to get back into the play if you're Cauley-Stein. You don't want to take yourself out of the play by diving unnecessarily.
Shot clock at 10. Smith.
Well, they let him play.
Yes.
I thought Siva may have committed a foul before we went to that last timeout on Archie Goodwin, but you know what? Big boy basketball.
Well, yeah, exactly, and they're going to let the players determine the outcome, and good decision here. Coming back with Siva, 2 ball handlers now, 2 decision makers and playmakers for Louisville with 7 on the clock.
Only 7. It's where the scouting report comes into play, and the length and the 7'4" wingspan of Nerlens Noel to go with it. No time off the clock, the shot clock. Still 7 to shoot. Bohannon, nice pass. Jang, count the basket. Goaltending on Noel.
How about the poise, Clark, and the patience by Bohannon here, and then the find. Just great recognition by Louisville in the game, in the clock situations, folks. That's how you develop chemistry and trust out on the floor that your teammate's going to make the right play.
That was a big-time play by Bohannon. Big time.
Harrow drives baseline. Not there. Cauley-Stein the rebound and a foul spotted. It's a reach by Chase Bohannon.
There was a goaltend, but the play was called on the ground.
And that was close. That was close. Because it looked to me as though he was getting into his shooting motion.
Yeah, that's what John's talking about. That's what Calipari's talking about. Shane Bohannon does get the foul, but look at that.
Yeah, listen, there's no doubt that it was a goaltend, but the key is that the call was made on the floor. They did not give the continuation.
It's the 3rd foul on Bohannon, and the woes at the free throw line continue for Kentucky.
Boy, you like that young man's motor and passion. He just needs to become a little more proficient at the foul line.
Yeah, they've missed their last 5 as a team, and we have another lane violation.
Deep breath, step off, concentrate on your mechanics.
And this is such a tough call for the officials because everybody's assuming he's going to miss. So you're trying to get in and procure that rebound.
Tough.
And unfortunately, he didn't disappoint. He was unable to convert. They are going to look at their inability to make the freebies down the stretch.
Well, you saw the 10 of 22.
Yeah, he becomes a liability as good as he's been all day long. Cauley-Stein becomes a liability late as Smith on another blow by.
Ball so hard, young fella. He is bringing it.
He always does. And he got that kind of heart and aggressive posture and relentless attitude from his dad, Big Russ.
And the answer from Goodwin and a quick timeout by Calipari. Smith has 20, 16 this half, but Kentucky won't say die. All right, fellas, let's talk about defensive strategy here for John Calipari, down by 6.
Somehow you have to keep Russ Smith from getting to the basket. I'm sitting here courtside, and I don't know exactly how you do it, but back off of it, make you shoot a jump shot, and make sure you've got the right angle. You can't allow a guy to get all the way to the goal. You've got to make Louisville shoot perimeter shots if you're Kentucky.
And the advantage for Louisville is they play him off the ball, so he doesn't have to face 5 sets of eyes when he's being utilized within the offense. Makes it much more difficult to provide help.
Little full court pressure here.
Yeah, pinching Siva.
But he's so crafty and clever.
Draws the foul from Cauley-Stein. How smart was that?
Well, and I understand what you're trying to do right now from Calipari's standpoint, but I don't know that your team's experienced enough. That's a senior play there. Yeah. Understanding he's got Cauley-Stein running full speed, and he forces that foul. That's why in these situations, you want to keep it simple for the young fella and not put him in a position where he can do harm.
Patino calls him the best point guard in America, and of course, he's going to promote the brand. I get that. Siva has, though, improved in the area where he needed to in the offseason, and that was with his shot.
Clearly. And you see 84% on the season from the line. And he's a little banged up. You can tell he's not 100% in his lower body, but this kid is such a competitor, such a charismatic leader in an understated kind of way with this group.
Yeah, and I go back, everyone talks about the improved shot. For me, it's more the improved decision making. Because when you get great decision making at the top, it trickles down throughout the rest of your team.
Yeah.
And that's why they've been so much better in the half court in terms of execution.
Got to hit one sometime.
Mays, yes, that could be the confidence builder the transfer from Wright State needed. Does he have the right stuff the rest of the way?
Until this shot from Julius Mays, he had been bageled from the floor. 0 of 6, but stepped into that one confidently and brings his team to within 5. And he shoots it really well over the course of his career. He's hit a bit of a bump the last few games, but that shot going down very well could set him up for another one if he gets a chance.
You see Kentucky with 1 timeout remaining. Jang bothered at midcourt.
Don't open up the floor if you're Kentucky.
3 ball not there for Blackshear, and it's pulled down by Noel. A bucket here, and it's game on the rest of the way. Goodwin wants it, sees it, cannot get it to go.
Got a great look. Probably could have gone to the left hand there.
And a reach-in foul. Tough sequence for the Wildcats there.
And this is really an example with a young team. There's so much time left. You don't need to foul there, but you talked about it. Goodwin showing the ability to attack the rim here in this second half. Just not able to get it. Yeah, there's a little bit of contact, but we've seen it on both ends. The officials are letting them determine the outcome of the game.
And I don't mind that at all. Again, I thought he could have gone to the left hand because he had to shoot it back across his body while he was going away from the goal. That would have been a case where the left hand would have been ideally positioned for that finish.
Well, Louisville had hit 6 of their last 6 at the line, but that miss by Blackshear is key because best they can do is a 2-possession lead if he makes this.
And the other thing from Kentucky's standpoint, I think we're starting to see their identity. They are really growing up right in front of our eyes. You're seeing now their players are getting the shots that their talent dictates.
And now you don't need to rush for anything. Execute, get a high-quality shot. You want to try to probe inside. Louisville has to be able to defend without fouling.
Goodwin has it rejected by Jang. He stays with it, though, out of bounds to Louisville.
I called him the great white shark, but every now and then they'll come to land. And you see him get out of the paint here, unafraid to contest from 22 feet from the big fella. That's a win play. That's what I call a winning play by Jang.
Quickly doubled, he lost it. Goodwin has it on the wing. Harrow decides to drive, and he nearly threw that one away. Boy, and Mays was wide open at the top, just beyond the 3-point arc, and he missed him. Well, the Cardinals turned it over for the first time in 11 minutes at a most inopportune time for Rick Pitino. As you look at the game reset for both of you, do you take a quick shot to maybe get an extra possession or no?
I think you lean towards the quick shot, but it's got to be a quality shot.
Okay.
You want to try to be in a position. In college, you don't really see teams do the 2-for-1 as much as you see at the next. But this is an ideal situation where you could get a shot within 7 or 8 seconds.
Well, Jang, oh boy, he forces the turnover when it might have been a 5th foul.
And I was going to say, to me, I don't think you take a quick one with 49. 10 seconds is a lot of time to utilize to execute and get a good look. Unfortunately, they create the turnover.
And John Calipari is letting John Cal know that he had him by the arm. This should have been a foul.
Hard to really see from that particular angle.
Yeah, he was certainly making home his point. Hannon gets the easy one.
Now you got to go quick because it's more than a 2-possession game.
Goodwin from downtown, yes! And a foul on Siva. How big is that? It could be a 4-point play. If it does go to overtime, Siva won't be available.
Wow. I tell you what, in this last 40 seconds or so, we've seen a lot of things that you wouldn't consider smart basketball either way.
It isn't smart, but from Kentucky's standpoint, it is aggressive. And I think that's more important.
No, I'm talking about reaching and fouling a 3-point shooter.
Especially when you consider it was done by a senior. And he's obviously not happy with the call, but you got to be a little smarter in this situation.
Shot clock is off when they get the ball back.
Give yourself a chance to force a turnover without fouling.
And remember the other thing, Siva is your best free throw shooter. So you lose that luxury as well of him going to the line.
Well, we'll see how the moves to the free throw line go for Louisville. They have been by far the superior team in that statistical area today. 81% on the season, 2 for 4 today. The iron, awfully kind. And Siva can't believe it. Upset with himself. Tough for a veteran player like him to sit and watch. A couple of those early fouls were giveaways. I'm sure he's thinking about that. Well, one of the two.
Doesn't have to be a 3, just a good, quality, fairly quick shot.
Goodwin in traffic, turns it over. Bohannon all the way to the rack. Still a 2-possession game. Kentucky needs a quick one. Mays. Noel lost it. Last touch by Louisville with 8 seconds left. The steal.
And partner, they just stay after it.
They don't give up on it.
The Goodwin got himself in a little bit of a tiffy there, trying to attack, and the defense was solid. They cut off all the passing lanes and really created that turnover opportunity.
Noel, time winding down, gives it up to Goodwin, and the 3-ball goes with 1.8 left. But Louisville can stay home with a W. A hard-earned victory at that, 80-77. Smith with 21-17 in the second half for Clark Kellogg, Greg Anthony, Tim Brando saying so long.